Welcome to Martechify, a community of marketing professionals interested in digital marketing, MarTech, and AI. I am your host today, Ekaterina Konovalova, and I'm excited to welcome to this conversation Philip Congello, who is the Executive Vice President of ModUp's packaging team. His team works with such well-known brands like Duracell, Panera Bread, Reckitt, which owns Lysol, Finish, Mucinex, and many other wonderful brands. Philip, welcome.
Thank you, Ekaterina. Thank you. We appreciate the opportunity to speak together and to share more of what we're doing and how we can help other clients do the same.
Great. So can you tell a little bit more about your career journey and what inspired you to join the marketing field and packaging business?
Sure. Quickly, I've always been interested with the creative part of our business, actually going to school for filmmaking at one time and then switching over to marketing and advertising. And I've been in the field ever since. And then I joined the predecessor to our team here at ModUp, Lamb Design, and we're now part of the larger ModUp organization. So it's kind of taken a full circle because we're now more of a broader creative organization rather than just specific packaging. And one of our strengths is to sort of take all the strengths from all the parts of our organization, from content to advertising to research and digital enhancements and packaging, and bringing it all together at shelf or online.
Great. So I would like to learn more about how AI is changing your industry, because obviously we saw a big impact in data and analytics in some creative services, but what about packaging?
That's a great question. And we think it comes down to speed to market. The idea is that we're still leaning heavily into research data to inform our strategic design concepts. But then once we have that, to adapt across all different variants of a product, languages around the world, and global expansion, we now use the tools from AI-enabled programs, so that once we have this core visual or the template for the creative solution for the packaging, we can now take that middle space after concepting and design development and before printing and delivery of the products. We can then take that middle ground and save time. It's still supervised by our teams because we're kind of overlooking the adaptation of such packages, but that's where we're saving time and speed to get the packaging to the marketplace. And we're governed by the rule that it's a competitive advantage to be first in market, to be first to acknowledge a new section or segment within a market, and to address marketing conditions. Duracell, for example, relies heavily not only on a evergreen marketing plan throughout the year, but during storm periods where there's a high demand for batteries, they need to act and move fast, whether it's point of sale or digital content to be pushed out to the social networks. We're able to adapt and move a lot quicker because of AI-enhanced tools.
Interesting. Can you provide any other client examples that are really cutting edge?
Sure. With Lysol, for example, we work here on the U.S. marketing team. And once again, we'll design packaging and also market activation programs for the local U.S. and North American markets, and specifically for channels, for example, like Club. Club requires its own packaging and wrap or display material because they want to provide the channel consumer with something unique and different and where they can't find anywhere else. So we need to move quickly in those markets because the retailers themselves need to move quickly. And that's another example of working with the Lysol team to kind of develop brand extensions or go into new markets, or simply coming up with a better overall value offer to them. And we're also doing that with Air Wick, which is also another brand owned by Reckitt.
Very interesting. What about, you mentioned briefly translations to different languages, I believe.
Yes.
Do you use AI to quickly change it to adapt it for different countries and different markets?
That's another great question. And that's another example of that middle section. After the concepting and design templates and main ideas are developed, we then need to take that, if it's a global brand, to then translate that to all the different languages. And that's a function that can be overseen by our creative team but it can move very quickly for sizing requirements and language translations as we adapt that US pack across other markets. So it literally takes weeks out of that time, sometimes months out of that time. And if you're to the market faster, you'll have an advantage on one, having a premium positioning within the retailer or online, but also beating the competition to the marketplace. That has big impact. And there was a figure once, if you're out there a month beforehand, some segments, and this was measured once before, has a sort of a $1 million+ advantage gain. So depending on the category, its volumes, getting to the market faster really contributes to the profitability of a brand.
It's also very important to get it to the market fast with high quality. What guardrails do you have in place to ensure that the quality is right?
Well, that's a very good question also, because the idea of us at ModUp using AI-enabled tools is contingent and is built on the fact of human creativity. So the guardrails are the oversight of the creative team, and that begins with the idea, and that begins with a brand guidelines book that we also develop for our brands. And those rules are stacked into our tools to kind of guide the adaptation section. But every step of the way, we're checkpointing along the way to make sure it's coming out to where we envisioned it should be in. So it's the speed in actually doing the layouts and mechanical designs, but it's the oversight and quality control that makes us unique in the marketplace.
I see. Thank you so much, Philip.